am Dale Fuller, Director of the Social Science Foundation. This program is about one of the most astonishing developments of the 20th century, the fascist revolution. Fascism is a political disease. Like most diseases, the germ which produces the illness needs an environment suitable for incubation. The fascist virus incubated here in Germany and in Italy in the following the First World War. Our story begins in Germany. The year is 1919, the first year of peace after 4 years and 3 months of brutal, destructive war. The debris of war is bricks and mortar. The scars of war are material and of the spirit. The debris of war is flesh and blood. 1,600,000 Germans died. The debris of war is the stricken flesh and blood which lived on to remember against their will and judgment. The defeated Germans must sign a confession of guilt. In Germany, the debris of war is everywhere. Wartime blockade leads to famine. Peacetime inflation multiplies hardship. The Kaiser has fled to Holland. There is a new democratic government, but it is weak and inexperienced. For the unrest which sweeps Germany, for the new government which is democratic but unstable, there is an alternative. Name, Adolf Hitler. Occupation, former army corporal, now politics. Under an ancient pagan symbol called the swastika, a small band is creating the National Democratic Socialist Workers' Party, in short, the Nazis. Hitler becomes the leader. For Germany's problems, he promises simple solutions. In Munich in 1923, the Nazis attempt to gain power by force. The uprising is crushed, the Nazi party broken up. Hitler imprisoned. In Italy, the environment is also favorable for the incubation of political disease. Again, there is disillusionment, unrest, a partly democratic government which does not govern well. There is poverty, insecurity, uncertainty. And once again, there is an alternative. It is called fascism. Its symbol, that of ancient Roman authority, is the fasces, the bundle of sticks which when tied together cannot be broken. Its founder, Mussolini. Fascist groups organized throughout Italy. Like Hitler, Mussolini promises simple solutions. It is 1925. Democratic government has collapsed in Italy. Mussolini, with his simple solutions, is now premier. And the government he organizes is founded on ecstatic appeals to the mob and the systematic organization of violence. February 1925. Hitler is released from prison, and he begins to reorganize his own style of fascism. But Germany is quieter now, more stable, less susceptible to the fascist disease. Still, in the German parliament, there are ominous warnings. At the one extreme are the communists, at the other, the right-wing nationalists, and the center parties seem incapable of real cooperation. Then, in 1929, comes the Great Depression. Unemployment climbs steadily. At last, 8 million Germans are out of work, and a fit of insecurity seizes the entire nation. The crisis worsens. The Parliament does not act. For the problems of a defeated nation and a struggling democracy, Hitler and his Nazis offer answers, simple, intriguing. Instead of meaninglessness and despair, a new belief, a new savior, a new religion. Instead of defeat and persistent disillusionment, the promise of certain victory. Instead of senility and inept government, the Nazis promise action, efficiency, energy. Instead of the problems of democracy and the terrible burden of freedom, the solace of the mass. The firm hand of the leader, the simple answers, get rid of the Jews, build German power, prepare for the destiny of a master race. Hitler becomes Chancellor of Germany in 1933. Not by a majority vote, though 12 million Germans did vote for him, but by pressures and promises, and above all, the utter collapse of democratic responsibility. The time of fascism has come. It now dominates Europe. It will soon shape the fate of the world. What is this fascism? Fascism denies the individual and deifies the state. The state is everywhere, the state is everything, the state is total. This is totalitarianism. The state, and only the state, speaks to the people. The voice of the state speaks propaganda, speaks the big lie, which, because there is no other voice, is believed. Law belongs to the state. Justice is the instrument of the state. It is the state which decides who shall live in slavery and who in ignominy shall die. It is the business of the state, reads a Nazi law, to combat injurious influences and encourage those that are valuable. The whole function of education is to create a Nazi. The state is everything, the state is everywhere. Who rules the state? The party rules. The National Socialist movement is the German Reich. It is the state. Who then rules the party? The elite rules. Fascism affirms the immutable, beneficial, and fruitful inequality of all mankind. And who rules the elite? The leader, the Duce, the Führer. One must never forget it, says the Führer. The majority can never replace the leader. You cannot get one wise man out of 100 fools, and a heroic decision cannot come out of 100 cowards. Fascism rejects humanity and sanctifies the nation. The Italian nation, say the fascists, will restore the imperial splendor of Rome. In Germany, the nation becomes a race, a superior race made up of superior men. Aryans they are called. And what is an Aryan like? He is slender like Hermann Goering, tall like Joseph Goebbels, blonde like Adolf Hitler. But contradictions do not matter. the ridiculous myth of the superior Aryan race becomes the very basis of national policy. Of those who are not of pure blood, some are tolerated, others are not. This, says Hitler, are parasites on the bodies of other people. Not by hundreds, not by thousands, but by millions the parasites are exterminated. Fascism distrusts reason and believes force. What is the greatest thing ye can experience? Asked Nietzsche. It is the hour when ye say, what good is my virtue? What good is my justice? What good is my pity? Where is the lightning to lick you with its tongue? Where is the frenzy with which ye should be inoculated? Lo, I teach you the Superman. He is that lightning. He is that frenzy. Fascism despises peace and glorifies war. The garrison state, the entire state regimented for combat. Demands Hitler, I want to see again in the eyes of youth the gleam of the beast of prey. Above all, fascism takes away the burden of freedom. More than 50 years before the fascist revolution, Dostoevsky described its psychology with incredible insight. We shall persuade the people, said his Grand Inquisitor, that they will only become free men when they renounce their freedom to us and submit to us. And shall we be right or shall we be lying? They will be convinced that we are right, for they will remember the horrors of confusion to which freedom brought them. They will marvel at us and will be awe-stricken before us and will be proud at our being so powerful and clever that we have been able to subdue such a turbulent flock of thousands of millions. They will tremble impotently before our wrath. Their minds will grow fearful. They will be quick to shed tears like women and children. But they will be just as ready at a sign from us to pass to laughter and rejoicing. Yes, we shall set them to work, but in their leisure hours we shall make their life like a child's game, with children's songs and innocent dance. Oh, we shall allow them even sin, and they will love us like children because we allow them to sin. We shall tell them that every sin will be expiated if it is done with our permission. We shall allow or forbid them to live with their wives, and they will submit to us gladly. Let me tell thee that now, today, people are more persuaded than ever that they have perfect freedom, yet they have brought their freedom to us and laid it humbly at our feet. The 1930s is the decade of the dictators. Fascism, despising peace, makes a virtue of aggression. All Europe will soon tremble. First, the instruments of aggression must be fashioned. Then, technicians must be trained, skilled in the arts of violence. (1935) Mussolini is ready. Mussolini's youngest son drops bombs on Ethiopia and writes a fascist tribute to war. I recommend war to everyone. War for us has been a sport, the most beautiful and complete of all sports. 1938, Hitler is ready. His first target, Austria, Anschluss, a union forced, if need be, of German-speaking peoples. Alarmed, Britain and France negotiate with the fascists at Munich. Hitler asks for the Sudetenland and promises he wants no more territory. Britain and France agree, and Neville Chamberlain returns to London with Hitler's promise. Six months later, Hitler ignores his promise. We want no more Czechs, he says. And now, the biggest of all the big lies. The Nazi headlines scream, Chamberlain wants war. And war there is, Hitler's war. I have sent to the east only my death-head units, says Hitler, with the order to kill without mercy all Polish men, women, and children. Only in such a way will we win the vital space that we need. In Warsaw alone, 300,000 Polish Jews are exterminated. Berlin falls in 27 days. Flushed with success, Hitler and his generals plan carefully the invasion of France. France falls in 43 days. This is the dawn of the new order. These the new masters. And these the unwilling, the unyielding subjects. Hitler's success assured, Mussolini enters the war invading France from the south. This is the triumphant hour, the triumph of fascism, the ascendancy of state and race, the decline of humanity, the collapse of reason, the death of human dignity. Only England remains now, and the Blitz, indiscriminate wholesale bombing begins. The triumphant hour does not end, not yet. Deeper into Russia move the Nazi forces. Then, swiftly, everything changes. This is the once arrogant army which had goose-stepped through Prague, through the streets of Rotterdam and Warsaw, down the Champs-Élysées in Paris, defeated by winter's cold and Russia's stamina. The homeland, too, tastes defeat for the first time. Cologne burns, and Dusseldorf, Hamburg, and Berlin. The voice of the fascist state becomes more insistent. It is still the big lie. We are on the threshold of victory, the Germans are told. But for Mussolini, defeat is already at hand. As the invading Allies reach southern Italy, his regime topples. The Duce is imprisoned, only to be rescued by daring Nazi airmen and flown to Germany. The founders of the fascist state, the architects of the new order, the glorifiers of war and perpetrators of world war, greet each other for the last time. Hitler sends Mussolini back to northern Italy to re-establish the fascist regime and continue the fight. But for the fascists, the hour is late. Still above the chaos, the voice of fascism continues to intone the big lie, and there are some left to listen. From the north and west, the invading Allies come. There will be a new German offense, cries the voice. The Fuhrer is confident, pleads the voice. We shall win. Around fascist Europe, the ring of steel closes tighter. Still, the voice continues until at last there is none left to hear. In Italy, Mussolini is captured by the partisans. He is tried, executed, and with his mistress is hung from a lamppost in Milan. He had taught the Italians the nobility of violence. They learned his lesson well. Nothing above the state, the fascists had said. Ruthless brute force, Hitler had advised. The nobility of war, Mussolini had preached. And here at the end, the inevitable, the disastrous result, when state is placed above the individual and race made more than humanity. When force is prized more than reason, war more than peace. and when men surrender the precious burden of freedom. The disastrous, the inevitable result. The war is now all but lost. Hitler seeks death in the ruins of Berlin. From his embattled chancellery, he writes, "If the war is to be lost, the nation also will perish. This fate is inevitable. Destroy everything," he demands. "Shoot those who fail to comply," he orders. Then there is silence. It is over. On the eve of Hitler's death, a wise observer of the fascist revolution wrote as follows: "Hitler was not outside humanity, but within it. He was in us before he was against us. And once he is dead, he will occupy us without striking a blow if we do not admit that he is a part of us, the devil's part in our hearts." Fascism is not some inexplicable disease of another world, another century. It is of our century, a part of our history, and it will continue to thrive wherever men glorify state and race above the individual and humanity, wherever men rely on force undisciplined by reason, and wherever men renounce freedom.
This is National